Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Emma Emmer. I'm Director of Strategic Programs here at Bentley, and I am thrilled to welcome you to this conversation about our Masters of Science in Accounting. I've joined here today by two panelists who are far more exciting than I am. So I'm excited to get a chance to talk to them today. And so we'll start by introducing them, making sure you know who's on the line. Then, just to give you a sense of how we'll spend our time, we're going to talk probably for 20 or 25 minutes about the details of the MSA program here at Bentley, hearing from both Len and Derek from their perspectives. Then we'll take lots of questions about the MSA. So I hope you all will use the Q&A feature to share any curiosities you have about the program. And then after that, we'll make sure to talk about the admissions process and how you can come and join us here at Bentley. And so with that, I would love, as I mentioned, to introduce our two panelists. Len, if you don't mind starting and sharing who you are and why folks on the line might be interested in hearing from you, that would be wonderful.
Great. Thank you, Emma. My name is Len Pape, and I am the program director for the Masters of Science in Accounting. My background is that I was in public accounting for 45 years and then had the great opportunity to teach at Bentley University, both in the undergraduate and graduate programs. Many of our professors teach through by way of experiential learning, and much of what we teach is what we've done in our professions. So you get the benefit of not only having people that are dedicated to the industry and the profession, but we have people that have actually done what they teach. So we're very proud of that aspect. We have many professors that teach in the program, both at in the evenings, which are when most of the classes are, 5 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have on the program itself or the subsequent aspirations you may have relative to working in public accounting or private accounting or whatever you decide to do with the masters in accounting, which are many.
Wonderful. And Derek, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Derek. I currently work as a tax associate with a mid-sized firm called Birkin Associates, where I get to help clients save and minimize their tax liability and also navigate complex tax regulations. A few months ago in May, I walked the commencement stage, making me a proud Falcon. And I'm happy and excited to be here to share my experiences with each and every one here. It's a privilege and honor to be a part of this
Wonderful.
session.
We're so happy to have you here, Derek. And for those of you, not to totally spoil the secrets or pull back the curtain too much, but we were just preparing right before this, and Derek and Len were getting a chance to reconnect. Derek took Len's course, and so he can talk about how scary and mean Len is during our time here today. And then we were learning about how Derek is at Birkin Associates, and Len actually is a connection to the leader of Burke and Associates. And I want to talk a lot during our time today about how, as Len was saying, not only do our faculty members bring their industry knowledge into the classroom, but they bring our students out into the world based on their industry connections. And so we'll spend some good time talking about what that looks like in the in the accounting kind of space, and how Len and our faculty really make sure that our students are able to launch the careers they're looking for. Let's start though first, kind of basic. Let's talk about the curriculum. And Len, the accounting faculty has very purposefully looked at our curriculum over the last handful of years and ensured that analytics and kind of the newest ways of looking at the accounting profession are integrated into the classroom. And I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit about kind of that philosophy of our curriculum, as well as, and I think this is a big part of that, our partnership with KPMG and how their knowledge of what's happening in the space is integrated into our classrooms.
Sure, that's a great way to start the conversation of how cutting edge Bentley University is relative to bringing the most relevant programs, methodologies, pronouncements into the classroom so that you're ready to go once you secure the internship or job that you uh, so much want and aspire to. So part of the value proposition of why you would come to Bentley University happens with a little bit that you just heard from Emma relative to building relationships. Relationships are what will drive your career goals of having people in the classroom that know many of the managing partners and recruiters at many of the firms, both public accounting firms, places like Liberty Mutual, Fidelity, Boston Scientific, all the people that I had client relationships with are now brought into the classroom for you to benefit from those relationships. So the value proposition of what you may think to be an expensive situation at Bentley versus maybe a program online, I can almost guarantee you, I don't use the word guarantee very much, but I can assure you that the value that you receive from Bentley far outweighs the cost that you will pay for this program. What we do is in the accounting department, both undergrad and graduate, we have what's called an accounting advisory board. And we bring from industry many partners, managers from all types of industries that are related to the accounting industry itself, and ask them every 6 months, what type of programs, what type of skill assessment, what type of people do they want in their environments, their companies, um, and how should we teach these people? Because the environment is changing so fast. It does change every 6 months. I mean, you understand about AI and how that's a perfect fit for accountancy. You know about data analytics and data mining and data extraction. We use all of those items so that the day you hit the ground at your new profession, you're ready to go, cooked and able to speak to a customer and a client, and you don't have that 18-month lag time of on-the-job training that many schools will need if you graduate from them. So the value proposition is excellent. Where do we get our cutting edge information? We get it from industry. We ask people that run these companies, what type of person do you want to have in your office and what do they need to know? And that's how we change our curriculum day to day and actually provide you with Alteryx, Mind Data Snipper, Power BI, all of the types of data analysis and work that I never had back in my career that you have the opportunity to use right now. And Emma mentioned the partnership we have with KPMG and their MATA program, which is a master's in data analytics. And they provide us with many resources with which to bring into our classroom and make it a real life project that they're coming into my financial statement auditing class next Tuesday with live information utilizing their data miner called MindBridge to make selections on what transactions to look like in an audit. So it couldn't be any more relevant. It couldn't be any more timely. Their staff is using these things right now. And now I have my 32 students ready to go and learn from one of their managers and seniors right in my classroom. So we have many guest lecturers. And as I said, the building of relationships, the value proposition of bringing cutting edge information into the classroom with people that have done it is where your value comes from. So I can't speak more highly of our program. I'm very proud of the Master's of Science in Accounting, and the people that leave our program have very good luck at passing the CPA exam, as well as Derek has shown you, who was in my class,
Right.
that there are some terrific jobs out there with wonderful people for you to work with, and we stay in touch continually.
Absolutely. Derek, I'm curious. So Len just shared so much about how
Right.
faculty are bringing kind of the most cutting edge information in the field into the classroom due to their relationships. And one of the things Len talked about, is how our students are often able to hit the ground running really quickly in their career because of that. And you are a perfect example of someone who recently
Absolutely.
graduated and now is
Absolutely.
being asked to hit the ground running in his career. And so I'm curious if there were any experiences in the classroom that you remember that you feel best set you up for the role you have right now, as a tax associate.
I think whatever I'm going to say, it's not going to, take away the highlights that Professor Len Pep has, earlier spoken about. And one of the key things for me in the beginning was the cost. The cost was, quite, expensive. But then if you actually pay attention to the cost, you might not, get a return for it. For me, in the beginning, I was very hesitant because of the cost. But after meeting Gordon Berridge back in my home country in Ghana, giving me the perspective and the analysis of the return that I might gain after the program, it made me passionate to join the program. And, being able to transition all the way from, West Africa, being through the educational system and coming all the way to the US, going through the educational system at Bentley. Honestly, what I found most valuable was how practical the program was. The professors, they just didn't teach theory. Everything was tied back to the real accounting world and what's actually happening in the industry right now, which is one thing that is separating me from my peers and co-workers. Plus the collaboration with classmates from all over the world really helped me see different perspectives and made me more confident working with diverse teams. So I think the program at Bentley is, one of the excellent programs you can actually go in and come out successfully. And of course, the return outweighs the cost.
Really interesting, Derek. Len, I'm hoping you can talk. I want to stay in the classroom for just a little longer. Talk a little bit about how folks can specialize. So, Derek, I'm going to make an assumption that maybe you specialized in tax. You can tell me if I'm wrong about that. But within our accounting program, he said, okay, he'll tell me what I'm wrong about. That's really helpful, actually. I would love to hear, Len, about specialization in our program and how folks can specialize and then go down different paths within accounting. And then Derek, I'd love to hear from your perspective how you decided to specialize in your degree.
Well, in terms of specialization, I think Bentley has concentrations from, advisory to assurance to tax. And for me, in the beginning, I was a bit confused as to which career path I want to channel in. But, having engaged and speaking with Professor Lempep as the director of accounting program in the beginning, he made me narrow down, what I'm very passionate about, what my interests are, and what my long-term goals are for me to be able to make a decision on joining the tax track. And for me, what I currently enjoy most is one thing that I learned from Professor Len Pep's class. He says, if you didn't document it, then you didn't do it. As an individual who is, who holds a master's degree in accounting from Bentley, I will always have, to put on my detective hat. I trust that the client actually performed the transaction with, their suppliers or vendors, but then I have to verify. And in doing so, I have to use my revenue recognition skills. I have to make sure there was a performance obligation. I have to, make sure there was an exchange of goods and services between the clients and their vendors or customers. And, you know, try to identify that there was a mode of agreement of payment between both parties. And these are skills that I actually learned from Professor Lempep's class. I use what I learn at Bentley every day. The accounting program at Bentley gave me a solid foundation. But what really stands out is how the program trained me to think critically and adapt quickly. Whether it's researching tax issues, analyzing data, or working with clients, I feel like Bentley prepared me to handle challenges confidently and professionally.
Very cool. Len, I'd love for you, that makes a lot of sense, Derek. And something you said that I think is really key here is that Len was a real support to you in figuring out your path within accounting, right? We have this
Absolutely.
ability to specialize. You shared a number of paths that people can go down in and Len can clarify all of that for us. But Len, I would love for you to talk about how you see your role in supporting our students in kind of finding their way in the field,
Mhm.
or both, and I'll even broaden that, not only you, but you and your colleagues who are teaching. How are you helping folks figure out how to specialize and therefore launch their careers in those directions?
That's interesting. And Derek, boy, that was a great a great discussion that you had about what you've picked up, the important points of what professors like me try to get to you in short bites so that you can carry really important concepts to your day-to-day job. Because I'm not teaching you to take a test and to pass a test. I don't really I shouldn't say this out loud. I don't care what you get on a test. I care about you learning the content of my lectures. And just you saying, if you didn't document it, you didn't do it. I should get t-shirts made up with that on it and give them out after you've taken my class, because I must say that 1,000 times a day. Um, anyway, just to follow up a little bit on the majors that Derek talked about, we have 5 majors: assurance, which is auditing, internal and external; corporate reporting, which would set you up to be a CFO; uh, analytics, which is very mathematical and statistical oriented; advisory, which is accounting for deals and investment banking type accounting; and then there's tax. And uh, our program is STEM certified for all of those majors except for tax right now. We're going to apply for the tax STEM certification. But basically, that's where we are. So to answer Emma's question about how do we set our students up for the decision-making process of what major do I take, where is where's my passion, where should I aspire to be, and how to get there. So one of our jobs that we do in the Masters of Science in Accounting is we have a lot of discussion individually. I have a list beside me of 13 students who have called me before registration and asked for information relative to what should they be taking, what majors should they select. And I usually start off with a little bit of questioning their own likes and dislikes relative to where's their passion if they have one, and they may not have one yet. So we need to have that discussion about what do you like to do, what have you been exposed to, what kind of makes you kind of interested. Fraud and forensics is a big one. Tax is enormous right now. Advisory is huge. So I go through this little question and answer process of about 5 questions to see what are you thinking. And so the way I do it is that I don't have office hours per se, face to face. I like to share my screen on a Zoom call with a lot of my advisory and mentoring work that I do with my students. So I, get home, have a little dinner, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I take 30-minute Zoom calls to help you get set up. I look at your, where you think you might be registering for courses. I mix and match a little bit to your likes and dislikes with the major involved. And then we make a decision and make you feel much better that you have somebody to talk to in order to make these decisions. We also have a great advisory group called the Graduate uh, uh, Academic Advisors, and we also have career advisors. But between the 3 groups, me and the academic and career people, we get to the answer that's really helpful for you to be on a path to be a valuable candidate for many of these firms, to get hired and to hit the ground running when you do get there. So, I use Zoom a lot, and I use my phone. I have a home in Maine, and tomorrow I have a 3-hour ride to get to my home for the weekend. And I take slots of conference calls, 20 minutes at a time, get you through it. 24/7 is what I do like to sleep a little bit, but I like to stay in touch with you as soon as you have a concern, and get you through your worries a little bit, so that you can make good decisions on courses and careers. because that's part of our value proposition as a person like me who hired hundreds of people over the years as a managing partner in an office of a very large international firm, to say, these are the kind of people we want. These are the kind of attributes you should have, and that's how I do it. Does that help, Emma?
Absolutely. And I think, Len, so first of all, I don't know if Len does sleep, because every time I try to get in touch with Len, he's talking to a student. So I'm pretty certain he truly is on the phone all day, connecting with students and helping them make these decisions. But the other thing Len talked about that I just want to call out here, and maybe we'll use this as a little pivot outside of the classroom, is that not only Len is devoted to supporting you and making sure you have the career path you're looking for, but we also have our grad career development group, our grad academic advisors. And I actually was talking to a current MSA student who started in early September. And by early October, he shared with me, because of the support he got from Len and our grad career team, by early October, so not even 1 month into his program, he had 3 job offers from major accounting firms, because he had spent the whole summer in preparation for his time here, understanding who is it that I want to be, what kind of firm do I want to go to, what kind of work do I want to do. And then he'll spend this year gaining that skill set that he needs in order to really hit the ground running when he gets here. And I think what's really important about that is that, as Len said, we're here. We know you are likely on the line and considering an MSA because you want to launch or advance a career in this space. And it's very career focused. And we want to make sure that everything that we're doing here is maximizing your time, so you're gaining that skill set that broadens you and makes you highly employable. I do want to call something else out that Len said that I think is really important. Before, Derek, I want to talk a little bit about some of your things you did outside the classroom. Um, I Something Len talked about is this idea that we're not only building your accounting skills, which we are, they're highly, highly tangible, but we're also building your human skills here at Bentley. Len said something kind of offhand as he was talking, but it's really key to what we do here, which is we not only want you to understand how to do things, but also how to present that information, how to feel confident in sharing it. Because frankly, just knowing how to do it doesn't make you as successful in your career. And so, Len, I'll ask you just one quick question, which is about, I know in your auditing class, you've shared with me that a lot of the course is not only about how to do this, but then often the assignment is, okay, now think about how you would present this to X group, or, we're going to practice presenting to Y group. Tell us a little more about that and why you think that's an important part of our curriculum.
Great. What what attracted me while I was in practice to the Bentley, both undergrad and graduate students, was their ability, as Emma said, to handle all of the hard skills beautifully. Accounting, auditing, tax, advisory, all that stuff was nailed down perfectly. Hard skills. What really attracted me was one's ability to speak in possibly a group with a client. Can I send you into a CFO's office to ask a question about a particular audit issue, a revenue recognition issue, whatever? That's the beauty of Bentley University. And some people at the beginning of my classes feel uncomfortable because I do expect you to stand up and maybe make a 5-minute presentation on a current event that is applicable to what we are being taught in my class. So you just pick something out of the Wall Street Journal. Something just happened with a company called First Brands in September, a huge bankruptcy and the possibility of a fraud within it, billions of dollars. And Tuesday night, a student came up, you get one slide, present, get questions asked. And what it did is it tied in the discussion on fraud and documentation from Derek's comment together in what you would actually do in a situation with a client of what could go wrong. How can we mitigate this fraud issue? So it happens real time. 30 days ago, this happened, and we utilize current events to tie into the content that we have. And that's one of the beauties, another value proposition at Bentley, that you're working with current events with current tools in order to make decisions to protect clients and their shareholders in the audit process, in my case, or a tax situation in Derek's case. So I'm not sure if I'm fully answering the
No,
question, Emma,
absolutely.
but that's how we do it, both me and the experiential teaching that happens in all of the other classes as well. We're bringing real life situations right to the middle of the classroom, day to day. I am a cold caller. I want you to be able to be on the edge of your seat, because that's exactly what's going to happen when Derek leaves this call. He's going to have a client situation where the partner or the senior manager is going to come into his office and said, quick, tell me exactly what you did with this client, how you came to this conclusion, because I have a call with him or her in 20 minutes about their tax return that we have to file, or give them a tax strategy to follow in the next week or so. So Derek's on the edge of his seat a little bit, but he remembers from many of us calling on him and saying, Derek, what do you think about this situation that we just went over on this slide? And he'll expound upon it. Whether he's right or wrong, I don't really care. I care that he tried and that he used his communication skills to hit me right between the eyes and say, this is what I think. And then that's 90% of the job. The other 10% was whether he was right or wrong. Right?
There's something to that, right?
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to being able to speak and
Absolutely.
critically think, which he talked about,
I love
which
that.
is a more of that value proposition that I'm so proud about Derek's success. I just can't tell you how great it is to see him
Awesome.
thrive. And he's a
Oh.
perfect example, believe me.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you, Professor. I really appreciate this honor. And, knowing myself and assessing myself before and after joining Bentley, I would say I'm a person who ordinarily would not have shown up to this engagement, because I always shy away from, presentations and talking in class and having sessions. I mean, I shy away from these things, but I can say, the culture at Bentley was really welcoming and supportive. And, faculty members were approachable and always willing to help and, give us guidance. I mean, I can't state for a fact the number of times Audra Bonnie has reached out to me as early as 5 a.m. trying to find out if I've actually prepared enough for an interview that I'm going to hold, or an engagement that I'm going to have with, let's say, a faculty member or a recruiter outside, the walls of Bentley. Audra has been texting me as early as 5, and I'm like, Audra, come on, I'm sleeping. But this goes a long way to show you how they actually care, and they want you to be the best of yourself at any point in time. And among classmates, I felt it was more like a community than a competition. We helped each other out, especially during recruiting seasons. The kind of environment that made me experience a lot of less stress and a lot more rewarding from Bentley. So I'm really, excited and passionate to have been a part of the Bentley community.
Thanks, Derek. That's so helpful to hear. And I think that's a really important comment about our full community. We spent a lot of time here today talking about inside the classroom because frankly, right, that's where some of the ROI is coming from. But as Derek and Len are pointing to, there's a lot of ROI that comes from outside the classroom, whether it's a lot about the relationships and the community that you're building, and that community, whether it's with alumni of Bentley, whether it's with your faculty members, whether it's with, as Derek is saying, Audra, who works in our grad career development office. That's hugely, hugely important. Derek, may I ask you one more question before we talk about the admissions process, which is, I know you were invested outside the classroom in some of our other accounting related communities. So you were the vice president of our Graduate Accounting Association. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about why you feel like that was important and an important part of your time at Bentley.
Um, well, I'll say that was actually my highlight of my time at Bentley because, that role actually brought me out of my shell. I was able to, help organize events, connected with students and firms, work closely with faculty members. I can tell you, Professor Len Pep is one of the people I always go seeking advice, seeking guidance on, how to approach a particular topic. What are the strategies that I need to employ? And he was always willing to help. This leadership experience has actually improved me personally. It improved my soft skills, my communication, as well as my teamwork. Things that go hand in hand with the technical side of accounting in the classroom and out of the classroom. It also helped me build my relationships that I still up until today, benefit from. So that is, one of the key things that I actually, appreciate. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Derek. Well, I hate having to stop this conversation because I will also say the smile on Len's face hearing about Derek's experience is like the most joyous thing I've experienced all week. It's I think the thing that's beautiful about this is that Derek, as Len said, is living the things that we're trying to create here, whether that's in the classroom, whether that's the community, whether that's the relationships that he's building, and then going on and starting his career at a firm that Len knows very, very well. These are all things we're looking to create here at Bentley. And so watching them talk together has been really fun for me. I hope for others on the line, they're feeling the same way. But I'm going to stop us only because I hope that for folks on the line, this conversation is making you curious about what applying to Bentley might look like. And so, Gordon, I would love to welcome you to talk a little bit about the application process. And as Derek said, Gordon was the jump starting of Derek's experience here when they met in Ghana. Gordon is one of our team members on the admissions team. And so would love you, Gordon, to talk a little bit about the application process.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to talk about this. And Derek, I'm so thrilled to see you again. It's so exciting to see this complete circle from you starting, meeting you first in Ghana to now seeing you being so successful in your job here. So congratulations. I know how hard you worked. It's really cool to see. So I'd like to share my screen here. So let me do that right now. If somebody could just allow me to share my screen there, and then I can go ahead and do that. So with that being said, after hearing all these great things, after listening from Len, hearing from Derek, to be able to apply to Bentley University, it's pretty straightforward. All this information is up on our website. And so first things first, when you fill out your application on our website, you're going to submit your updated and current resume. You're also going to submit your LinkedIn profile. And when you do that, you do want to make sure that they are the same. So the information that is on your resume is the same on your LinkedIn profile. The next thing that we want to take a look at is one recommendation letter. And so as you're looking at recommendations, we get a lot of questions about who should be applying for or who should be using for a recommendation. I think if you're a recent graduate, just getting out of your undergraduate program, a former professor would be really good, maybe a mentor. If you're looking to come into the program and you have a few years of work experience, having a current manager, maybe a former manager, someone that can speak to your abilities to do an advanced degree like a master's in accounting program. Then the next part of it is we do require one essay. Essays are pretty short. They're between 300 and 500 words, and you get to choose the question that you're going to answer in your application. Next, we do have an optional personal statement as well. Same thing there. Please do note that it also has a word limit, minimum of 300, maximum of 500 words. We are also currently GMAT GRE optional. So we do not require a test to be admitted into our graduate programs here at Bentley University. However, if you would like to submit one, you can go ahead and do so. We do accept both the GRE or the GMAT as part of that. And then also, if you are an international student, where you received a majority of your education in your undergraduate program in a foreign language. We will also require an English assessment as well. We accept the TOEFL, the IELTS, the Pearson, or the Duolingo assessment. So any one of those we will take. And then finally, for our international students, irregardless of what language your program was taught in, if you received a degree outside of the United States, we will also need a transcript, and that transcript must be evaluated. And we don't necessarily mean translated from English, but we need that evaluated from the educational system in your home country. I know Derek did this out of Ghana, and so translated from the education system in Ghana to the education system here in the United States. And one of the things I do want to say, and you'll hear me say this quite a bit as we go through this, it's interesting. Professor Pape said that he says maybe 1,000 times a day, if you don't document it, you didn't do it. Well, 1,000 times a day, I must say, if you have a question, please reach out to us. It's really important that you communicate with us. We're so happy to help out. So again, I know I went through the application process here, but again, any questions, please reach out to us anytime. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about as well is financing your education. About 85% of our students here in the graduate school receive some level of merit-based scholarships. And for our merit-based scholarships, they are based on the overall quality of your application. So everything I just talked about. And one of the great things is you don't have to do anything extra on the application. There's a question that says, would you like to be considered for merit aid? And you just check yes. And then we'll consider you for that merit scholarship. And if you get admitted into the program, we'll then review you for that scholarship. There are several different ways that you can help cover the cost of the program. For students who are currently working, sometimes your company will offer you tuition assistance. It is different for each company, so we do recommend that you reach out to your benefits and resources department at your company and ask them about some opportunities for tuition reimbursement. For domestic students here in the U.S., we do also offer grants, and then we also offer loans as well. There are loans for international students through companies like Empower. Again, if you reach out to us, we can offer you information in regards to that. And then there are domestic loans as well as part of that. So as far as the application deadline goes, we are still taking spring applications. The deadline for the standard deadline for that is December 11th. If you need a little bit of flexibility with that, again, if you have questions about that, please reach out to us. We're happy to talk with you about the deadlines for our spring term. Classes begin, and Len, please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's January 20th. This year is when our spring term starts. And then we are now also taking applications for our fall 2026 term as well, where those classes begin. And again, please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's one of the last days of August this year, a little earlier than we normally are, for the term start. Priority round 1 is just coming up right around the corner, November 1st. Priority round 2 is December 14th, and priority round 3 is February 1st. I always like to highlight those because those early priority rounds, that is where we tend to offer the most amount of merit aid. So if that is something that's really important to you, you do want to make sure that you get in those early rounds. For my international students all around the world, we do have a deadline of June 1st if you're looking to apply for this upcoming fall. And then for my domestic or SEVIS transfer students, it's August 1st for those upcoming programs. Again, if you have questions, reach out to us. We're happy to communicate. You can stay in touch with us here, where you can join and talk about our EPE, set up a consultation. You can follow us on YouTube, where you can see recordings of our videos. You can follow us on Instagram and also connect with us on LinkedIn. I'm going to turn it back over to Emma. I know we may have some questions that she wants to go over, and so I'll turn it back over to her and allow her, Len, and Derek to answer all of your very important questions.
Thanks, Gordon. Gordon, we have a question for you actually to start, which is about graduate assistantships and other
great.
funding opportunities for folks
Mhm.
other than merit aid. Is that something you could speak to, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So we do offer graduate assistantships. Graduate assistantships is an opportunity for students who are working full time, or excuse me, who are going to school full time, and students who are looking to start here in the fall. But it's an opportunity if you, on the application, there's a question if you'd like to be offered a graduate assistantship. This is an opportunity, again, to work here on campus for up to 20 hours per week. It is paid hourly. It is an opportunity for you to earn a little bit of money while you're here. Please do note this is not going to cover your full tuition. This is not going to cover all of your expenses, but it will cover some of your expenses here, and it's paid to you on a biweekly basis. It's a great opportunity to maybe work with one of the professors. You can work in one of our research centers or one of our departments here on campus. It is a great opportunity. This is available for both domestic and international students as part of the program. Thank you so much for asking that question. I usually touched on it earlier, so thank you for bringing it up. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Derek, I'm curious if you could talk to us a little bit about, now that you're freshly out of your experience, are there any things that you would suggest people really think about early in their time in their experience, or take advantage of early, that you would wish you had known, or you're really glad that you did?
Well, I'd say, you know, for incoming students or students who want to apply to Bentley, I'd say Gordon just touched on the rounds that we have to go through to be able to get accepted. So there's a priority round, which is round 1, and there's round 2, round 3. For me, after engaging with them, I knew I wanted to be a part of the Bentley community. So I immediately applied through the round 1 in the application process. As early as December, I had received my decision letter because I knew I was going to be a part of a huge community, which gave me enough time to prepare and also transition from, West Africa to the United States. In terms of, coming into Bentley and trying to get a job out of when you actually graduate, you have to start networking early. I mean, engage with the career guidance team. Audra Bonnie is always there to help, and as well as a ton of other magnificent faculty members who are willing to help you navigate your challenges in terms of finding a job. International students, for us, it's a bit dicey, but with good preparation and enough approach on the specific industry you want to participate in or you want to work in, with with the help and guidance from the career team, career coach guidance team, they can help you to learn something. And for me, Bentley has, I can't stop saying how supportive Bentley has been for me. I had the assistantship, which also gave me enough to be able to cater for my expenses while I was in the US. So Bentley has been a home away from home for me. So I'm excited to be a part of the team. And now that I'm in, out of school and working in the corporate world, which Bentley played a significant factor. I mean, let me share this. Of all the jobs that I've worked in the United States, I actually didn't apply to them. It was based on referral. I recall Audra Bonnie, before working with Tyler Lynch, which was my first accounting job. Audra Bonnie set me up for an informational meeting. I went into the meeting to ask questions about, the daily routines of, the people that work in that particular firm. 2 days after the interview, I had an offer letter, which I was not expecting. So I was like, wait, what is going on? So I had the opportunity to, get some experience combining classroom, work with, real world experiences. It was something that actually made it out for me. And joining Berkeley Associates, also why I did not apply. It was a recommendation from the CEO at Tyler Lynch. He sent a recommendation on my behalf to Berkeley Associates, and they actually, picked me in after I was done with my internship with them. So this is the opportunity that Bentley gives you. It kind of opens our doors for you, and employers actually look out for Bentley students because the program that is being offered at Bentley is one of the great ones that you can, see out there. So I'm really proud to be a Falcon, to be honest.
Thank you, Derek. Len, help us understand. So we've talked a lot about what you can get from the program, but I know there are certain characteristics of students that make them more successful when they're here. And I don't mean to say things like you need to already know accounting, right? That's not what I mean. But I think there are certain qualities that I know you're looking for, or you're really fostering in our students. And often people on the line want to know, am I going to fit in here? Help us understand what our successful students look like, other than just answering Derek, because I think he's a wonderful example of it.
Sure. And you're talking about a student, not an actual employee of a firm or
Yeah, I'm
whatever, right?
talking about a student.
Okay, yeah. Well, the key to success, I think, in the master's program is much different than it was for you in undergraduate. Um, I have an undergraduate class on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:30 to 5. And then I have a master's in accounting financial statement auditing class at 5 p.m. My methodology for teaching are completely different from undergraduate to graduate. The graduate culture that I try to bring into that class and to set you up for success and what will help you succeed is much more mature than the undergraduate methodology I use. The reason for that is because students like Derek, I lay out the content and the materials for him to either take or not take. It's a proposition that I don't really have time or the energy or the wish to chase him for papers or scores or did you take the quiz as I may in a with an undergrad. So the key to success for graduate school, I have a couple of these. One is be ahead of your professor. Again, a mature environment where I want to make sure that you're grabbing as much as you can from my lectures. The lectures are very, even though they're 2 hours and 20 minutes, they should be filled with an enormous amount of information, not even enough to cover what you should have covered in the week prior. So preparation before my lecture. I want you to use the lectures as explanatory times rather than the first time you've heard the content. So you be prepared and ahead of me before I give you the lecture. And that's what most of the professors want. They want a business environment. I tell my students in my master's program, every one of these classes is a business meeting. I want you to be presentable. I don't want you to dress up. I just want you to be ready, awake. Maybe a little caffeine might help a touch. I want you to be participatory. I want you to raise your hand. I want you to ask me a question. If you know something that I don't, and that happens every day, I want you to tell me about it. This is a mature, this is not your usual professor-student relationship. It is professional to professional. You may have come in from a job in a commercial bank or an investment company, and you're coming to my class tired as can be, long day at work, you know, kids are at home dying for you to get there, but I need to make this valuable. And I need to understand that you've just come from a really tough job and I need to make it fun. I need to make it interactive. So participation is critical. Derek used the word critical thinking. Challenge me. I don't know everything there is to know about this stuff. You may have a specialist at your side that you can gather some different information that will help the class. Collaboration is critical thinking, participation, curiosity. I may not have the answer, but I'll say, hey, how about if we get together and research that bankruptcy and see what went wrong with the accounting firm that should have done this, that, or the other thing. And you'll never forget that if I do that with you. So I want you to be happy. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy the class and can't wait to get to the next one. I want you to be curious. I want you to be critical thinking. And I want you to really be in a situation where You get out of it whatever you want to get out of it. And if you have a bad week and life gets in the way, I get it. It gets in the way of everybody. We'll figure out a way to get around that and get you the content you need to get through the class continually, because things happen, believe me, at work, family, whatever. We mitigate that stuff, we get you through it, and we come out the other side very successfully. And that's, again, that's part of the value proposition. That's why, you know, Derek thought it was expensive at the beginning until he got a taste of it, and then he said, I can't do without this. So
That's right.
that's where I am.
I think this has been so wonderful. Derek and Len, thank you for bringing such color to this program. I want to leave folks with a couple of things that I don't want you to forget. Thing number one is Gordon said, please be in touch with us. One of the things at Bentley that both Derek and Len have been talking about today is that we are a relationship-driven experience, and that starts with your admissions process. So we want to hear from you. We want to support you in thinking about whether this is the right place for you. We want to support your application. And so please use the email address that was put in the chat here, applygrad@bentley.edu, to get in touch and make sure that we're able to connect with you and help you as an individual navigate the path towards Bentley. So that's thing number one. Thing number two that Gordon mentioned that I would love you all to think about is on our YouTube page. We actually have a sample class that Len taught that gives you a little taste of what classroom content might look like. As Len said, some of the value, some of the ROI is in actually experiencing it. The weird thing I'll say about that is that it's in webinar form, which, as Len said, is very atypical for our classes here, right? Len is very participatory, whereas that is not possible. But I hope you'll take a look and engage in that way to continue your exploration of the program. Then the last thing I'm going to leave you with is we spent a lot of time today talking about our analytics-driven curriculum, our focus on relationships and industry partnerships. But I hope you all will leave, and I'm going to leave, thinking about the relationship between Len and Derek that is very clearly authentic. Derek and Len really connected during Derek's time here. Len is seen as a mentor and a guide. And Derek found other people who were like that too, whether it was Audra or others he spoke about, that helped him, as Derek put, move from West Africa to having a role here in the United States just a few months after his graduation. And that was all through those relationships and the broad support that he got while he was here. And so if nothing else that you remember, I hope that's something that you can leave thinking about. I really hope you'll be in touch with us so that we can continue this conversation. And we look forward, I hope, to see many of your applications in, as Derek said, that priority round one by the beginning of December. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Great
It was
job,
good to
Derek.
connect with you, Professor Lempev.
Well done, buddy. You're awesome.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Say hi to John.
I will.